How to transform wounds into wisdom. Welcome back to the Path to Purpose podcast with Dr. Katja Rusanen. In today's episode, we are exploring how to transform wounds into wisdom and wisdom even into superpowers. And this will bring you insights to help you live your purpose. I'm excited to introduce our guest, Schamet Horsfield, who is dedicated to empowering clients to transform emotional wounds into wisdom and their wisdom to their superpowers. She focuses on healing generational wounds, clearing self-limiting beliefs, working with shadow, developing intuition, and is committed to guiding and supporting her soul clients every step on the way to transformation, to manifest an abundant, purpose-driven life. And Schamet is the founder of the Wounds to Wisdom Oracle School and Awaken the Oracle Within, a 7-week training program in intuition and psychic development. She has various certifications and titles, including Wounds to Wisdom Oracle, Transformational Coach, Sacred Depths Practitioner, Clear Beliefs Coach, Chakra Energy Healer, New Paradigm Priestess, author, and speaker. So welcome, Schamet. I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. What a great introduction. I am impressed that you were able to remember all of that. So great. So good to be here with you.
Thank you. And I'm curious, Gus, it sounds like you have done quite a journey. So was there a special event that led you to this path?
Yeah, I've been on this path pretty much all my life, and I'm almost 50 years old. I've been working as a healer and for, over 30 years. So many things led me to this path, including having a very difficult childhood. However, I feel like having that traumatic and difficult childhood was a blessing and not a curse, because it is what awoke me to, the kind of problems and issues that we have on planet Earth. But I also was awake as a child. And so I knew that I was here from somewhere else and that I was here to bring healing and hope and transformation and bring heaven to earth. So as a little girl, I started going to church, even though my parents were not at all religious. I started going to a Mormon church because we lived in Utah, and basically any church that I could go to. I went to Catholic, Pentecostal, non-denominational. I was spending 3 days a week in church as a teenager, just trying to figure it all out because I knew that I was here to bring healing, to bring transformation, and to bring hope, and to bring what I felt from where I was from. Like, I really connected to the Egyptians. And I felt like where I was from, we all, love was the most important thing. Love, connection, truth. We all spoke telepathically, and we had this community of light and love and openness and good energy. And I just was so confused as a child because that's not what I was experiencing on this planet. And I thought, where are my people? Where is my tribe? And so then I found my tribe and I found my pathway, and the big kind of opening in the metaphysical, spiritual aspect of who I am was that I started having premonition dreams and things that I would know about things that were going to happen before they happened. I could see into people and see their shadow and see and know things about them that they did not want me to know, which kind of got me into a bit of a pickle and some trouble when I was a young person. And the church did not hold those answers for me. And so I love the church. I love the community. I love singing. I love the support. But when I had my premonition dream, they, a lot of them were scared, and didn't understand it and thought I was a witch. I've now understood that witch means woman in total control of herself. But there for a while, it did leave me with a wound, a witch wound. And I thought something was wrong with me for a while there when I started having the really big premonitions. And luckily, the universe supports us. And I had dreams about people that I was supposed to meet. And I just had all these angels on earth support me in my awakening journey. And that was when I was around 19 years old, was more of my big psychic, intuitive awakening of finding out who I am and why I'm here, and which led me to doing clairvoyant and metaphysical training and working with shamans and healers. And I ended up going to East West School for the Healing Arts and becoming a massage therapist, Reiki master, and healer. And then that led me to work as a private healer here in Wellington, New Zealand, on all the Lord of the Ring, the people that made Lord of the Rings and King Kong and The Hobbit and Superman. And oh, that was an amazing time in my life. And then I had my own practice in the business area of Wellington for a while. And yeah, it's been an incredible journey. I think that our wounds and the trauma and the things that happen to us, we have a choice, right? We can either go, okay, what is the wisdom? What am I meant to learn? And then from there, we can turn it into these incredible superpowers. And we have a choice, of course. We always have choice. It's a free will universe. But because of the things that happened, it cultivated a resilience and a fighting spirit inside of me that led me to where I am now. And I'm married with an amazing relationship for 26 years now, two beautiful children. I live in my dream home. I have my dream career. Like everything is happening for me. And it's because I made the choice to go, okay, what is the wisdom in these wounds? What is the wisdom in this trauma? And how can I turn that and alchemize it into my superpowers? And so my superpowers are being in a marriage for 26 years. Like no one in my family is still married. Like they're all been divorced, and then so I've broke free from the patterns and the cycles that keep so many people chained to those limiting self-beliefs and those patterns. And now I just want to help everyone be able to heal from their childhood trauma, because the childhood trauma, if it is not healed, it can just recycle. And I've seen so many people repeat those cycles over and over and over again. And I feel like I'm here on the planet to help people break free, break the chains of that, and have a beautiful life. And can you imagine if we all did that? We would have heaven on earth. And so I'm here to bring heaven to earth.
I love that. And thank you for sharing your journey. And there were so many things that resonated, like being in that place. And maybe many of our listeners might still be in that place where we see our life, like see those experiences as a curse, and maybe going into that life happens to me place. But then hearing your journey, how you started to shift that around and started to find and seek the lessons and the learning and the growth. Because sometimes we are so stuck in just seeing the suffering that we are not seeing what comes after. And I was there for many years, just seeing the suffering and pain, but then being able to start seeking what can come after. And I love that you shared your journey, because that is a beautiful example of what's possible when we clear and heal. And some might be just for us, but also we might support our generational lineage and heal and clear there. But now, as we continue here, I just want to clarify something so that all of us are on the same page. So, when we talk about the emotional wound, what do you mean? Like, what is your definition for emotional wound?
Yeah, what a great question. I love that so much. It's different for everyone. There's so many different wounds. And, that's the book that I'm writing right now and the Oracle deck that's getting ready to come out, which I'm so excited about, Wounds to Wisdom. It goes into great depth to explain that. And so I can say a few things, but there's a lot to say. Like I could take up the rest of the podcast on just this question, but I'll be succinct. So an emotional wound could be, for example, the betrayal wound. If you were betrayed, your trust was broken, in childhood development, that first 7 years, the foundation gets laid to how we react and how we see and perceive the world that we live in. The beliefs that we have are the alphabet to consciously creating our reality. So we can be seeing through that lens of betrayal. And so then we're always afraid that we're going to be betrayed. So we hold ourselves back. Or persecution wound is another one. If we've been persecuted, then we're always looking through this lens of persecution. And those are, some deep, deep emotional wounds and spiritual wounds that can affect everything, the decisions we make in regards to the partner that we choose, the job that we take, putting ourselves out there or not putting ourselves out there because we're afraid of being persecuted. And I have a persecution wound. I have a betrayal wound. And it has taken me a lot of work on myself to be able to get on a podcast like this and talk about this and be seen and be heard. And it didn't happen overnight. So the listeners are out there. Some of these take time and take self-love and courage, but I'm living proof that it can be done. I have been able to go into that cocoon and come out as the butterfly. And, it takes dedication, self-love, time, and, remothering yourself and refathering yourself and being that person to yourself that you would not betray and having that code of honor inside of your being. And this is what I did at an early age. I made decisions, commitments that I'm going to be an honest person. I'm going to be a kind person. I am not going to betray people. I am not, so by laying those values for myself of who I'm going to be, attracted incredible people in my life that then the people in my life, the friends and family and community that I have are just amazing. Oh, I'm so grateful and blessed. But I've created that for myself. And then by bringing that tribe and that community in, I started rewiring the emotional wounds inside of me so that I could start to then trust other people, that I wasn't going to be betrayed because I wasn't betraying myself. And then forgiving the people in my life that did betray me, that did persecute me, that they are just wounded too. And to know that it wasn't that they were doing it to me, but that's where they were. So being able to untease that and pull that apart and know that I don't need to take that personal. Now, this is big work and it took me a while. It didn't just happen overnight, but this is kind of the process of being able to heal those emotional wounds and then step into those superpowers. It's not personal. I just watched Oprah yesterday, and she was talking about all of this healing childhood wounds. And, she says, well, it wasn't what happened. It's the question of, it's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. And that hit me right in the heart, because it's so true. When we have something go wrong with a family member or someone at work or someone in our community, and we go, why are they so mean? Why are they so unkind? Like, what's wrong with them? And we do it, right? I do it too. What's wrong with them? Why would they do that? We need to ask the question, what happened to them? And what does that do? It immediately puts us in a place of kindness, compassion, and empathy. Because, and I do believe strongly that we're all just wounded, right? So many people have had trauma that they don't even know how to heal from. And if we can hold kindness and compassion for these people that are acting out from their unresolved childhood trauma, that's the wisdom. And that is the superpower, to be able to hold that kind of compassion and love for ourselves, for our emotional wounds, and the spiritual wounds, and the emotional and spiritual wounds in others. So that was kind of a long-winded answer, but
I feel you brought forward really good points and also already shared what we can do when we realize that we have maybe some of those wounds sounded familiar. I worked with many light workers who have that persecution wound. They feel like allergic to social media. It's huge fear that comes often from past lives, what has happened, and they carry it over, and now they have beautiful, beautiful gifts, but they are afraid to share them. And also, what you shared previous, like in the beginning, like the witch wound, like being called, if you do something healing, that you are a witch, and that's kind of causes fear because, again, what has happened in the past. So we then hide because that's the safe place to be. I've been there hiding, like, and I know there is many others too. So now, if somebody, like, because you shared a lot of things we can do, but what was kind of the beginning, the first step on your own path, how to transform wounds into wisdom? Like, of course, my recommendation now, like, reach out to Schamet because she can help you. But what is something that people, where did you start on your journey?
love your questions. I'm so enjoying this. It's all the things I love to talk about. The persecution wound and the witch wound was a really big one for me, being this little girl that was astral traveling through the house, not realizing that she was, and seeing ghosts, seeing demons. Yes, I saw demons. And having that confirmed back to me by my father once he found religion, he confirmed that I was seeing the things that I was seeing. And that was a pretty intense thing to go through at 14 years old, to have a conversation with your father and he tells you, those were not dreams. You really saw those things. You have a gift. And then converting me into Christianity. And I did say that my parents weren't religious when I first started going to church. Well, I started going to church at, how old was I? 8 years old. And no, my parents were not religious then. But then at 14, when I went to stay with my dad, he had converted into Christianity and he had his own spiritual awakening. And then that's when he told me all those things that I was seeing and those experiences that were happening to me were real, which that's when I really was like, okay, I need to be religious. This is an important pathway. But then when I had this premonition dream later on that my dad died and then he died the next day, the church wasn't so understanding. They just didn't understand there was a lot of fear, like if you had premonition dreams or if then something was wrong with you. And I actually was shunned and I was shut down a bit. And not their fault. I forgive all of them. They're really great people. Just a lot of fear there, and then a family member actually said, "Oh, you must be a witch." And I was terrified, Katja. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm a witch." And, being from America, that is not a good thing to be. That means you're manipulative. You're not a good person if you're a witch in America in the way that they paint. In Europe, it's different. I lived in Sweden. To be a witch is like, you're a wise person. You're a wise woman. It's not a big deal. But in America, there's so much propaganda and just so much going on in the world that really gets judged in a big way. It took me a while to unravel that I had psychic abilities, that I was intuitive, that there was nothing wrong with me. I wasn't cursed. I thought it was a curse at first. I thought, oh my God, I'm cursed. How do I get rid of the curse? All of this stuff. And I had a dream of this business card. I'll never forget it because it was handed to me the next day. And I knew I was supposed to go and see that person. It was a clairvoyant psychic. She ended up being one of my teachers. And that was really where I was able to step into my power when I realized that the persecution wound, it's been going on for lifetimes with people like us that have this healing ability. And it's really people's fear of what they don't understand. And it's actually a really beautiful gift to have psychic abilities and intuition. It has saved my child's life. It saved some of my clients' life. It saved my life a few times as well, my psychic abilities. So they are an incredible superpower. And so I guess that all of that persecution in this lifetime, and I have been persecuted many lifetimes. I remember now, that it's been going on for a long time, but also understanding and holding that compassion and empathy for people that just don't understand and are in a place of fear has really been like the main center of the work that I do with women and some men. I have found that it's mostly women that I bring towards me, but I do have some male clients that also have this witch wound and this persecution wound. And have I answered your question or?
Yeah, you did, because it was like your own process, like where did you get started? And now I know you, like you mentioned, you work with clients too, and even take them further, like first clarifying, finding what their wound is about, finding their wisdom, supporting them on that journey. But then you help them also turn their wisdom to superpowers. You have mentioned the superpowers a few times. And what's the process there? How do you work with your clients that they can find their superpower?
A big part of it is seeing people, like really seeing someone and them being able to be witnessed and be seen. And it sounds so simple, right? But it's really not, because there are so many different perceptions, and everyone, based on their beliefs, their experience, their past life experience, their wounds, their wisdom, their programming, is seeing through a different lens of perception. Quite literally, they've done studies about it where people see and hear things completely differently. It's actually quite amazing. So when you can actually see someone for their authentic self and who they are in the inside, their soul, who they've come here to be, beneath the layers of all these roles that we play, mother, daughter, wife, but actually their soul, and you can witness that, it's like it starts to grow and emerge up out like the lotus out of the murky pond, if you will. That starts to blossom when someone can be witnessed and seen for who they really are. And not everybody does see the soul. I think that a lot of people are still perceiving through those lenses of trauma and abuse and pain and fear. And so it's like an unveiling and then truly holding someone in their sacred, divine essence, if you will. And, I have one amazing client. I mean, I have several amazing clients that I love, but I'm just thinking of one in particular where she was so afraid of being in the forest when we started working together, and also afraid around water. And, we realized in working together that she had been persecuted, and that fear of in the past lives had been brought into this life. So even though nothing had happened to her in this lifetime around the water and in the forest, we realized with the work that we did going into the Akashic records that indeed she had been drowned and she had been killed in the forest. And so she was still holding that energetic persecution in this lifetime. And then once we started to clear that, by talking about it, by normalizing it, and by me being able to see her and her beauty and her power and her grace, and that wound and that energy was not her. It was something that happened. And this is, trauma as well. The emotional wound isn't the trauma. The trauma is what happened. But that wound, that emotional, spiritual wound that we carry is because we are carrying it. So when we can recognize that we can separate that out and that we don't have to carry it anymore, that happened then, and we can start to surrender that, free that, release that. It's almost like an untangling of the energy. Then we can free all that energy and clear it and then create a reset. And she can walk in the forest now. She can swim in the ocean now. And, it's like she's still a little bit apprehensive still. She hasn't completely cleared all of it, but so much has been cleared. And I have as well had a big fear of the ocean, and working with the same technique of releasing it. I can now I just the other day went and swam in the ocean, and it was just so freeing, and to be on a boat, to not be afraid. And it's possible. The healing journey is possible with everything we do. It's really powerful, and it's really working with the beliefs. When we start rewiring what we believe, like I think about the person that was me when my father died, and I was told that it was all my fault and that I was somehow this witch and all this stuff that this person put onto me, and how I then took it. I went, oh, okay. And then I believed it. And oh, gosh, that was a horrible experience. And now I realize, like, if I could go to that version of me, and I can, and I have, and say, you don't have to carry that. That's not yours. And just give it back. Thank you, but no, that's not my reality. That's not what I believe. And then it's just gone. All that pain, that suffering, that trauma that we carry, it's not even hours most of the time. Sometimes we have something to learn from it, though. And I know that that did happen so that I could learn what I've learned now so that I can then help others. But it was a very heavy burden, that persecution wound, to carry for the time that I carried. And so, yeah, teaching and educating, like with this podcast right now, with this conversation, someone's going to listen to it and go, oh, I don't have to carry this persecution wound anymore. I can actually learn from it and be a wise woman and then help others. Like sometimes it's just a conversation like what we're having right now that wakes someone up and they go, oh, that makes sense. And so when I was going to church full time, as a teenager, 3 times a week, and I sang in the choir, something higher in the prison systems and everything, it was an amazing time in my life. And I was dating a man that was studying to become a pastor and preacher. And he is now a pastor and a preacher in a church. But back then he was like, you can't go to concerts, you can't have crystals, you can't pierce your nose, and you certainly can't have premonition dreams, like all that stuff, right? Like he calls me now just a few years ago. He's like, I'm so sorry. I just didn't realize. I understand now. And you're a beautiful soul and you're doing what I'm doing, just in a different way, using different words. And I said, I'm so glad you finally got it. I'm a priestess and you're a pastor. I'm working with awakening consciousness on the planet, helping people come back to love, trusting in themselves and who they are, and transforming and healing just like you are. And so now he calls me up and we talk about his people that he's helping in the congregation and the people that I'm helping in my congregation. And it's just different words. And I think we can get so hung up on these different beliefs and different, I honor all religions, all paths, all beliefs, because to me, it's all about love. It's all about kindness. It's all about compassion. And yeah, so it's been an interesting, winding journey, but I know that all roads lead to God, Goddess, and love when your heart is pure.
Thank you for sharing that journey, because that was also so beautiful to see. Well, I talk about also like we are the prisoners of our past, but the door is open. So we can find a way to gain that freedom and gain the freedom to be who we are truly and do what we came here to do in our own ways. So I love also the connection that you build now with this pastor, and just realizing it just same, like we are going same direction, just different paths, different words. And you mentioned there the word awakening. And I know many often hear it, but what does it mean for you when you say spiritual awakening? Because now we can talk about what's on the other side. When we clear and heal, where can we, what is the destination where we are going?
Yeah, so when I was living in Sweden, I was going back to school to get my degree in psychology. And I was doing that online. And then I went into the forest, and the goddess, the universe, I hate to say just one word because then it separates God, goddess, the universe, spirit. I think it's all the same. It's a different name for the same thing. But spoke to me and said, you need to stop doing this training and you're to do this awaken the priestess within. And so I did awaken the priestess within. And I did that for many years. I've passed that torch now, and I'm doing the awaken the oracle within. But I use awaken a lot in my work. And one of my taglines is awaken, align, transform, and shine, because awakening to me is where we become conscious of things that maybe we didn't see or feel before. And I also talk about spiritual amnesia. Sometimes we're awake and we're like, oh, yes, I'm on my soul purpose and I've come here to bring heaven to earth. And then we get triggered, and then a childhood trauma comes up. And then it's almost like we fall asleep to who we really are and go into that trigger and into that wound. And, it happens to the best of us. It is just something that can happen if you've had childhood trauma, to where you can get triggered and then, in a way, fall asleep to who you truly are. So to me, the awakening is about awakening back to who we truly are and why we're here. And I think as humans, we all have those really clear moments where we're completely awake and we're aligned to our transformation. And then that's when we're really shining, is when we're really like completely awake, aligned to our soul purpose, and then it is about transforming anything that gets in a way of that alignment and that awakened state. And, that is when we are shining, is when we are in that awakened place. Now, most of us can't stay there all the time. And that's why we need each other to, be in circle and support. And I have so many beautiful friends that, are mirrors that go, remember, you're the one that said this about da 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 da. I go, and then I reawaken and align and go, oh, thank you so much. Because there's so much going on in the world as well. Ooh, a bit of a transmission coming in. I feel like somebody's listening right now that really needs to hear this. It's okay if you fall asleep and you go out of alignment. Hold compassion and kindness for yourself if you are going through that, or know someone else that is going through that. Because when someone is triggered and they're in that triggered place, they're seeing through that trauma lens, through that trigger, and holding compassion and kindness for that period of time. It doesn't mean that that person or yourself is always going to be in that, I call it emotional quicksand. It will transform and change when it needs to. And then you'll become awakened again. Some people are just completely awake, and that is an incredible superpower. But most of us go in and out of that awakened place and that spiritual amnesia due to the childhood trauma and the triggers. And it can also be past life, not just this life. I want to add that. And so if you are in that place where you're in your cocoon, I call it you're cocooning. It's okay. You're cocooning, but get the support that you need, like this beautiful Katja, or myself, or someone that you connect to help you come out of that cocooning and that kind of spiritual amnesia, so that you can awaken back to your soul alignment and your true path and purpose. And then you will reconnect to your joy and your alignment again. And it's okay. It's okay to be in these different places in our lives. It's called different things, like the dark night of the soul, I think, is one of the descriptions I've heard. And we go through them for a reason. I think it's a really important part of the awakening process, is to have that dark night of the soul. For me, in those places where I was cocooning and I had to go inward, it helped me have a depth of compassion and understanding and forgiveness for, the people that have hurt me quite a lot in my childhood development and in my adult life, and understanding it is not personal. People are where they are for all the different reasons. I'm always giving a bit of a long-winded answer because I have a lot to say.
I love your shares, and that was beautiful message, and I think it will resonate with many. And you talked about that support, and I feel like I'm such an advocate for support nowadays because I tried to do it on my own, and that was not the easiest road to take. So now I'm just inviting everyone to have support and reach out to Shamat if you feel called to, because she can support you on this journey as well. And you have prepared also a gift for our audience, so that might be a good first step for someone. So can you share a little bit more about the gift?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. About doing it on your own, though, I that's what I did. The whole lone wolf, I will do it myself. And that is a trauma response in itself, right? Because I was too afraid to reach out as a young person. Um, because I had shame. I was embarrassed. And I didn't want the dark parts of me to be seen. And, I was very protective. And so I got most of my support from working with the universe, um, and through oracle cards. And so this leads me to the free gift, because for me as a young person, my oracle cards were like a lifeline of support. And so that is what I have created. I've actually created a Wounds to Wisdom Oracle deck, and I'm going to give you a reading from it. It's getting ready to go to print. So this is like a preview before they're printed, but they are available for pre-orders, which is very exciting. And I'm also sharing with Katja a free ebook and a free quiz on what wounds are blocking you from manifesting your most abundant life, a life of your wildest dreams. Because I do believe that we are manifestors. I've been manifesting my own reality for 30 years, quite successfully. I have the most abundant life I could ever possibly imagine. And to see where I've come from and where I am now is incredible. It's an incredible metamorphosis and transformation. And so I want that for everyone. And it is our emotional and spiritual wounds that can get in the way of us manifesting our most abundant life. So this is the book that I'm writing right now. But for all of you, there's a free ebook now that I've just created, and I'll be sending that link to you, Katja. And so that's a free little mini ebook, just a little to whet the appetite.
Yeah, and I will put it on the comments. So check comments below and get it because it
Yeah.
is full of wisdom.
Yes. And it's just a little like, it's kind of like having an appetizer before dinner. So it's just a little taste. And then I created a quiz because I love psychological quizzes that help me understand myself a little bit better. So I've got a psychic superpowers one, and then I've got the wounds to wisdom one. So I'll share that link with you as well. But let's do the oracle reading, huh?
Yes, let's
Exciting.
go.
So these are just printed at the local printer as a bit of a test run before they go to print. So I've got the book here. It's quite lengthy. There's a lot in there. And I've got the cards here, which is so exciting. Oh, thank you so much for having me on today. I love sharing about what I'm doing. This is a dream that I have been wanting to manifest since I discovered Oracle decks at 17 years old. So it took, becoming 50 years old to realize that I could do it. I always thought, well, those people there, they can do that, but I'm not sure if I can do that. But I want to do that. And that comes from the trauma from childhood, as well as second guessing yourself, having self-worth issues. And the courage to really put yourself out there is huge. And so this is a really big legacy for me in itself. Just to make it happen was enormous. But here's the deal. When the universe says you're doing this, I've realized I need to get out of my own way. And so this deck was me releasing and healing my own spiritual ego in the sense of, not believing in myself, the self-worth issues, all that stuff. Like that's about the small self. But believing in the big self, the higher self, the universe, and something bigger that wants to channel through means I need to just get out of the way and let it come through. So it's been a spiritual journey in itself. So for all you listeners that are listening right now, just take a moment to close your eyes, placing one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. If you can come into Egyptian pose, which is putting your feet on the ground, so you have that connection to the ground, and I'm going to do that as well. And sitting up in your chair, moving around a little bit so you can feel a free flow of energy in your body. And take a nice big deep breath in and exhale. And I've been putting a lot of information into your brain, so I feel like just shake it out a little bit too. Just give yourself a little shake so you can really come into your somatic experience, into your body wisdom. There you go. And breathe again. Take a moment to call in your angels, your guardians, your guides, and whatever you believe in. Maybe it's the universe or your higher self. Again, to me, it's all the same, but whatever you believe in, I want to just offer you to, bring in what you need to bring in to feel love, to feel safe, to feel that connection to your higher self and to the sacred divine energy of healing and love and transformation. And may I be guided to choose the cards in this oracle reading that will help each and every one of you. So I'm tuning into the energy and channeling the energy and the cards that are in alignment for the listener's highest and best good and their soul healing. And the blessing is, may your wounds, whether they be emotional or spiritual, transform into your wisdom, and your wisdom into your own personal superpowers, so that you can awaken to your soul path purpose. And so be it, and so it is. All right, and I know you and I are in alignment because we both believe that when you're aligned to your soul path purpose, everything flows, everything falls into place. And I do believe that we all, each and every one of us, have a particular brand of magic to bring to the world. And when you find those aligned people, it brings healing to your heart, to your soul, to your spirit. And so thank you so much for being in alignment with my heart and my soul, Katja. I'm so happy to be here with you. So I'm going to pick 3 cards. I'm going to do a past, present, and future for the awakening of all of our consciousness. And I'll do the past is the wound, the present is the wisdom, and the future is the superpower. My gosh, it feels so exciting to read from my own deck. I've been reading from other people's decks all my life. And so it's like, oh
That
my
is so cool and so wonderful. I'm so happy for you that you are sharing your work this way.
thank you. Oh my gosh. The past is heal your inner child.
Mm.
Heal your inner child. That's the perfect one, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, that's what we've been talking about. This whole conversation is about healing the inner child. And you can see she's got this beautiful butterfly and it's this little girl. And, I've done a lot of inner child work. I'm trained in it, in beliefs and healing the inner child. And it's so powerful, healing your inner child. I'll give you an example. I did a lot of healing my inner child work when I went through my clearing beliefs certification training in Sweden. And I will never forget this big session we did, 2 hours of this healing my inner child work. And that day we went to the lake and I played with my kids in the water in a way that I never felt so free before. The burdens had left and I was just in that inner child joy and glee. And we even went and got some blow up, like I got a unicorn. That's right. It was a blow up unicorn. And I was like splashing around in the unicorn. And I was just like, I felt like a little girl. And for anyone that's had a difficult childhood, you know that you had to become the adult when you should have been the child. So for me, when I healed my inner child, I finally got to be that free little girl having fun, and just, yeah, the heaviness and the weight of having to be an adult was gone when I healed my inner child. And now I can connect with my inner child energy when I need to. I mean, you obviously don't want to be your inner child all the time. There's times to be the adult and times to be the child, right? But it's so powerful. And so this is the past, right? The wound is if you did have a difficult upbringing and childhood and you had to become the adult when you were the child, that can translate to lots of different issues throughout your life. And so start by healing the inner child and you will start to heal that wound. Now we've got the present card. Resilience. There we go. This resilience is an important card to remind all of you that no matter what happened, it happened for a reason. And this is part of the healing. I think it's really important that we don't get into this loop when we figure out what happened to us. I did childhood development and I remember just laying on the kitchen floor crying, going, oh no, I didn't get all my needs met. This and this and this. And that's why I am who I am and how I am. And then I went into that really dark place of feeling all the things that were wrong with me because of not getting that strong foundation that other people got from their parents, right? And then feeling like this pity pot, this victim energy, this like all this sadness and grief of like, oh no, because once you're awakened to the truth, it can be a hard pill to swallow, right? And then you get angry at your parents and all that stuff came up for me. I still got an A in childhood development and I loved it. It was amazing. But what I came to the other side in my healing is the resilience. I am one of the most resilient people I know because of what happened. And that is the gift. And I love this card so much in the artwork because she's from Vietnam. And look at what, people in Vietnam have gone through. They're tremendously resilient people because of it. And those are the silver lining or the gems that we can take from that. The sword. I love it that there's a sword here. A friend of mine said, why is there a sword in this card? Doesn't that mean violence? I'm like, no, it's a symbol. The sword, to temper it, you have to beat it to death. You just like hit it and hit it and hit it. And a coal as well becomes a diamond because of all the pressure. So all the bad stuff, all the negative stuff, all the hard times is what cultivates resilience. It's what makes us sharp and strong, like the sword. And so that sword is that resilience, and also being able to do what I do and live the life that I live is because of my past. And so if you're hearing this message and you've had a really hard time, you can cultivate resilience. And because I've picked this card, you're being asked and invited to cultivate resilience. Remember, a diamond is coal that was under tremendous pressure, and then it turns into the diamond. And you get to choose. This is the big piece. I know many, many people that have had a hard time and they don't feel like they have choice, but it is a choice. And some of us have to work harder for that. I had to work very hard. People look at me and go, oh, well, it's easy for you. No, it was not easy. I worked very, very hard, and I still work very hard, because anyone that's a gardener, you know, when you pull the weeds out, you have to keep pulling them out or they keep growing back, right? It's not that they stop growing, but you plant flowers where you want the weeds and you keep pulling the weeds out. So it's not a once and done, but the resilience is cultivated from the hard times. And so let's see what the future says for us. Oh my God, I love this reading. Joyfulness. Look at that. And look at how happy she is. This is the joy that I was talking about when I did that inner child work. And I went and I swam in the lake with my unicorn. And like the joy that I felt was so incredible. And I want to share this story with all of you of a client that I had. She was in her 70s, and she contacted me, and she didn't have a lot of hope. She said, look, I have gone to this healer and that therapist and that therapist, and some of these were really famous therapists and healers, and I've spent so much money and no one's been able to help me. So, I don't know if you can help me, but I've been referred to you, heard that you could. And I just said to her, I said, look, are you willing? Okay, so her issue is she could not feel anything from the neck down. She's totally numb. Nothing. She couldn't feel the joy. She couldn't feel at all. And she wanted to feel. She wanted to be happy. She said, I've spent my whole life not feeling anything. Something must be wrong, but nobody can figure out. Nobody can help me. And I knew immediately what was going on. She had a block in the throat chakra, and it was like a bottleneck, and everything was just being pushed down. And so she couldn't feel anything. So I said to her, are you willing to feel all of it? The pain, the trauma, all of it. Because until you're ready to feel all of it, you also won't feel the joy. And she said, yeah, I'll do anything. And I said, okay. And then here's the other thing. I am not responsible to heal you. I'm only your guide. I'm only your facilitator. It's actually your choice. Do you want to be healed? Do you want transformation? She said, yes. I said, okay, that's your responsibility. I can only guide you there. I can only lead you, but you have to make the decision. So I'll only work with you if you can commit to that. She said, yes, I commit. Wow. It only took 2 sessions, and she reconnected with her joy. She did a lot of crying, and feeling a lot of all the energies and feelings that she had pushed down, she had to feel. But, 2 weeks later, I heard back from her, and she was completely in joy and feeling everything. And she said, it's so worth it. I'm so glad. Oh, that's the back of the card. I'm so glad that I can feel everything now. And so the message that I have for all of you that are listening, it's important to feel even the unsavory, because that, those feelings are valid. And when we can start to honor them and manage them, and coming back to what Katja was talking about, getting the support we need to move through healing our inner child, cultivating the resilience, and then coming into our joy, it is a worthwhile process, and we cannot heal what we do not feel. So that has been my experience. Mm.
I love this. It was such a beautiful cards that came for us today because it has been also my very own journey on my own ways and realizing that like the numbness, sometimes we feel numb because that's a coping mechanism. But then we also can't feel the joy and the love and all the good things in life. And then when we have the safe space, to start feeling into those things that maybe we fear. I had a storage unit with all the things I did not want to feel, but that didn't work really because they kept bouncing up like moments when I did not want, and then I needed to shove them back to the storage. But then realizing when I had the safe space to do the work, heal and clear, then I was able also to start feeling that joy, feeling that love. And that's really a beautiful, beautiful reading you did from your very own cards. That is so wonderful. So, also, if you want to check out those cards, check the link. I will link those cards so you can also have your deck because. What a beautiful cards. You have spent so much time and energy and love to create that card deck. So it was such an honor that you did a reading for us today.
Thank you. Yeah, I really wanted to create something that could help people, guide them through, their healing journey, and help them understand their emotions and their feelings. And I've done, gosh, I think I've done around 20 readings with them so far. Just family, friends, clients, because they're not out yet, but I have my own copy here. And there's so much magic in them. I always get exactly the cards someone needs in that moment for what they're going through. And I think this was the perfect card reading for us today.
It truly was. So I just want to say thank you so much, Schamet, for your invaluable insights today and the reading and all the golden nuggets you gave. So thank you for being the guest today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Katya. This was wonderful. I just love podcasts. I love connecting with aligned souls to bring heaven to earth and to raise the consciousness on the planet. I'm so passionate about it. And I'm so excited that you're going to be in the Leadership Summit as well and get to share your knowledge and your wisdom, and also have you on my podcast. And I'm really looking forward to that and just deepening into our connection. And the rising tide lifts all boats. When we can step out of competition and step into the energy of collaboration, then we're also healing that sister wound. And so having this conversation is so important, I think, for the healing of that sister wound as well, which is, another podcast episode.
Yes, absolutely. And collaboration is key. We are not here on our own. So also, if you enjoyed this interview, please give it thumbs up and subscribe for more inspiring content and explore the past episodes too. So sending you all love and light and see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Sending you all so much love. Mwah. Mwah.